Maverick traders, welcome out to your market roundup for September 30th. Corey here with you. So we're always going to look at meaningful news. We're going to look at equity markets. We're going to look at commodities, just what's trending. Right now, a special focus on the Chinese equity markets, and we'll discuss why. We're going to take a look at the best bullish, neutral, or bearish ideas, and let's jump into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So today, there wasn't a lot of movement in equities. We've continued to see the majority of the momentum being outside of the U.S., but the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, all slightly higher. They actually started the day down. They finished back up. I think we're just in a bullish market environment. Usually when you're making new 52-week highs, you'll continue to make those for some time. So no real reason to bet against the markets here, I don't think. Oil down 0.5%, gold down just almost 1%. Now, the big news of late has been this added stimulus out of China. Their markets have surged, they've moved up dramatically, but I think this is something that's a big change. If you look at the long-term charts of China, this is a huge reversal. And the amount of stimulus they're putting in, they do a couple of things. They're going to add stimulus, but they're also going to reduce reserve requirements at banks, basically opening up more lending for their financial institutions. And the big driver is they're going to try to make headway in the AI space. They're trying to get their tech companies, they're going to try to make inroads in technology, which is, of course, has been dominated here in the U.S. And Altman, speaking of AI, said that superintelligence is only a couple of thousand days away, basically 8 to 10 years, a decade away or so from superintelligence. And this is where, of course, it would be able to outthink humans and come up with solutions to things that human brains could never figure out. I don't know how realistic that is. It's kind of a scary world, but it could be revolutionary. And I think China's trying to make inroads here because this is the future. We're going to AI, we're going to superintelligence. There was this discussion about how AI played a role in the bombings recently over in Hamas and so forth. So anyway, we're in that age. We are in that world, and who controls and is first to AI is probably important, and the U.S. wants to certainly be first, and China's racing to catch up. Advanced decline line about half and half. 50-period moving average about 73% of stocks above it. So we continue to push higher. So the S&P chart, you can see we've broken out above resistance to new highs. We did so with a gap. We had talked about that. And as we said, when there's a powerful move, something out of the ordinary, there's usually follow through. So expect the next couple of weeks or so to continue to push to the upside, and that's what's happened. Today we had a bullish engulfing formation where the bullish candle engulfed and swallowed up yesterday, or I guess it would be Friday's bearish price action day. Bullish engulfing patterns usually lead to more upside. Again, I see no reason to bet on markets going lower here. If we look at the NASDAQ 100, it too has cleared some resistance, even kind of sunk back into support, and now looks like it might be poised to bounce up and off of this zone to further heights. If we look at the equal weight S&P, it's even stronger. It may be the best chart, and that's good news because this is everything out there. This is saying how are all 500 companies, not just how are Apple and the biggest names, and that's kind of where the S&P is. The equal weighted shows the whole picture, and in this case, we're in an upward trend, you can see, and again, the reversal today looks like we should continue to march higher. So Apple up nicely, up a couple of percent today. They're adding AI to their phones. I mean, this is again the world that we're living in. It's happening before our eyes, and that's part of what's been this big driver. So if you've wondered, well, why are markets going higher? There's really one main reason, I think, and that seems to be markets are pricing in a future, and they think there's going to be benefits, huge benefits to this AI space. That's what makes most sense because, again, the leadership groups are things like NVIDIA. Look at where money has been pouring into. Look at how NVIDIA's revenues and earnings have exploded. And when that happens, you have to say why. And it's because people are buying these super chips that NVIDIA and only NVIDIA offers. Their profit margins on those are gigantic, and that's a big driver of this market. So we're in an uptrend, still pushing higher. Again, no real reason to bet against it. Now, I've got on the bullish list some things that had nasty reversals today. So why do I have them? Why do I have some of these Chinese internet type of names on the bull list? And then the bearish list is just a mixed picture across a couple of different industries. But why focused on that? Well, let's look at the charts and work through this together. First, ugly reversal today, right? We gap up, we finish on the lows. Do I think that there's a little more consolidation going to happen here? Sure. But these breakouts are gigantic. These breakouts are powerful. And so my thought, again, this is what usually happens, is these prices are gone for good. I don't think that we're going to come back to these. Now, when I say for good, maybe we'll come back to them in the months ahead. But the idea that we'll backtrack to those in the short term, I just don't see it. I don't think you get back into the low 90s. I could see us backtrack into about the high 90s, and that's about it. Somewhere maybe sort of filling this gap, possible. But any consolidation, any bullish setups out of Baba, out of JD.com, out of KWeb, which is the Chinese internet, there is money that's going to be pouring into this space from the Chinese government and so forth. These are areas that had been beaten down massively, had huge short interest, and this is, I think, maybe the third inning of a 9 inning ball game. So if you think you're in about the third inning of the start, there's probably in the coming weeks and next couple of months quite a bit more upside. Could JD in the next couple of months trade up into the 50s and 60s, and Alibaba trade back up towards 160, 100, really high number? Certainly possible. So these are on my list. These breakouts are multi-week, multi-month type of breakouts. So a day like this doesn't really scare me because it's really what you want to see. You want to see a little back and feel, a pullback that you can buy into. Now on the bearish side, look for things that are downward trending even as the market's strong. The old market tell, when something can't act well, when it would, could, or should, usually you've got more of a problem. So Adobe's in a little bit of an inverse cup and handle. Now, rising tide can lift all boats. Maybe Adobe doesn't have a ton of downside, but I would still expect that it will probably trade lower, not higher. I don't love today's candlestick for a bearish trade, so I'd still be waiting on this one to pivot down again. But if it does, I'll play this further to the downside. General Motors, nice gap down, ugly price action in a good tape. And I think this one is more of a symmetrical triangle type of breakout. The volume increased, and I think we head towards the low 40s in General Motors. So markets likely to remain bullish. We've got non-farm payrolls out on Friday. The markets are now pricing in another 50-point basis rate cut from the Fed on the back of the prior 50 basis point cut. So markets are pricing in a lower interest rate environment. We've got McKesson, Nike, Constellation Brands, a few corporations reporting earnings there. Hope you enjoyed today's market roundup. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.